starting early, and that's what happens, right? They turn it on about right now to get it all freezing cold for everybody, right? Yeah. So how's everybody doing? I'm doing good. So obviously, let's see what we got. It was, you go back, great win for us. Obviously, being at home and great job by the Gator Nation, our student body, the band, the Gator Nation everywhere. To me, they did such a great job giving us that home field advantage in what it was and creating the intimidating environment. I think that had a lot to do with the success of our team. Great defensive. I thought defense. I thought we had a great defensive plan that the defensive staff put together. I thought our guys really executed, played really hard, ran to the ball well all day long, and really played a great defensive game. I thought offensively after the first quarter, we made some mistakes with the turnovers in the first quarter and kind of settled in a little bit at that, and were able to make plays and keep them pinned back as the day went on. And we were able to flip field position, did a good job that way. So injuries, we came out of the game fairly healthy. Kyle's should be good to play this week. Came back into the game and finished the game for us, obviously, so he should be good to go this week. I said Damian Pierce got a chance to play as the week goes on. We'll see. Where he's at coming off the hit that he took in the game. And, we didn't play Zoo. He was available. He was cleared to play. I don't think he was 100%. So going into the game, our thoughts were, hey, if we cannot play him this week, gives him the opportunity to be 100% next week. And, instead of kind of playing at 80% on consecutive, in week after week, as he was battling. I know he wanted to play, but he didn't get in the game. But that is a good thing for us because we expect him to be 100% coming into this week's game. So, any other injury updates for me right now? Yeah, he came back in. He was okay. Yeah, just a mild stinger. He's okay. Yep, he should be good to go this week.
You brought up the intimidating environment here.
Yeah.
What are your memories of Tiger Stadium? I mean, it's been a lot of battles there. You've been.
I've been there. Yeah, I've been there a lot through the years. Probably I think. Right, it'll be after this one. I think it'll be like there in Kentucky is the stadiums I've been to the most as a visiting coach in the league, and so obviously it's a great environment for college football, intimidating environment. They have a great crowd. Place is loud, intimidating, crazy environment. So. But that's SEC football. That's what it's all about. So we got to go and we got to try to manage the environment and try to do a good job executing.
Because, obviously, you said, we could see it with Bo Nix.
Yeah,
it rattled him. Kyle's, still in the early process of being a starter. How do you work with that and make sure that everything's?
We'll have to see on Saturday night how he handles it. We do it. We'll practice that way. We're at practice. We practice with crowd noise. We practice with that playing in road games. And so it's not like he's coming out to practice for the first time, having to go practice for this scenario. He had to come in a tough situation against Kentucky on the road. And, especially you're coming in and we're behind, and they had that place sold out. And it was so it's not like his first time ever having to step on the field in a tough environment. So, but, we got to do a good job of obviously manage it and communication on offense.
Dan, of all the stats defensively that were impressive, no defensive penalties. What does that mean to see a team to go do that in a game that was so intense?
Well, I think it's huge, for the guys to come out there. And it just goes to how clean we played. I think you look at, one, the ability to get off the field. We didn't play tons of plays. We created a bunch of 3-and-outs, and our ability to get off the field. You know, I mean, obviously, you talk defensively. You want to play the least number of snaps possible. No, you don't want to play the least number of snaps because you're just giving up explosive plays. But you know, you want to play the least number of snaps playing great defense. And I think we were able to do that. And the discipline showed of our guys. I think their focus, the execution, and how they executed the game plan that Todd and the staff put in was great.
And obviously, the hit on Kyle. Since then, you've been able to look at it on film. Some of the Auburn fans are upset that you said it was dirty.
Yeah, maybe I want to put it this way. Maybe the use of that word, maybe that wasn't the right word at the time. I don't think that was being coached, and I don't think that there was intent to go injure him on the play. I think that's something, though, when you look at player safety, we got to really pay attention. I mean, I know as a league, everybody wants to preach player safety, player safety, player safety. You know, talk about it, but what are we doing about it? You know, on those type of hits. I'm a bet if that hit happened, I bet those hits happened on a Sunday, that they would have been called. You know, because they're talking about player safety. So you know that maybe the choice of words at the time was wrong, but it's more, you know, I mean, to me, we have to, you know, I think those are plays we want to try to get out of the game. You know, plays where guys have, you know, significant opportunities to be injured, and those are type of plays that we want to, you know, the helmet-to-helmet hits. It plays that their injuries are a great chance of players being injured. We want to try to get out of the game.
Yeah, LSU's got the number one scoring offense in the country. They're averaging like 55 points a game. If this gets into a shootout, is this offense like able to handle that? Florida's offense. Maybe.
We'll find out. Yeah, we'll see. We have some good players too. So, you know, we have some good skill players offensively, and we'll see. You know, I think one thing though we always do as a staff is we try to focus that in the game plan. I'm not going to share what our secrets are, but you know, I mean, there'll be times that we need to score offensively, and we might give up some more points on defense. There's other times we might play ball control, try to slow the tempo of the game down. I mean, one of the things we don't always, you know, in our program, we don't work independently. Usually, the game plans of the offense, defense, and kicking game all kind of mold together into what we need to do to be victorious.
George, over here to the right. Yeah, I just wonder. 3 games in with Kyle as a starter, what do you know about him that you didn't know when he was just a backup?
Well, you know, how he's going to perform when he gets on the field. You know what I mean? Because I love guys. You know, I hate the word gamer. Hey, I'm a gamer. It's going to be different when I get out the field. I want to see it every single day of practice. I want to see you be able to show me over and over that you can do it. But when the lights come on, it is different. You know, and it is it to me, you know, how you respond in those situations. And the guy I saw, the guy that's a good decision maker, you know, a smart decision maker with the ball, accurate passing, you know, getting the ball out, getting us into the right checks, being able to hang in the pocket, make big throws that you see in practice. You don't know always how that's going to translate when now they can hit you, you know, and now it's. You know, the speed of it picks up, and I've seen him really, you know, continue to do what we expected him to do and what we knew he could do.
Robbie? Dan, for a few minutes on Saturday, you were down to one quarterback, scholarship quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
How big of a concern is it having only 2 guys?
I mean, we've had it before. It's always a concern, you know. I mean, we can't go sign a free agent this week. But, you know, I mean, that's part of it. That's stuff you got to deal with.
And is Nick Sproles the number 3 guy? And
Yeah.
what kind of player would he be if he was called on?
Be a great player. Nick does an unbelievable job for us. You know, I mean, he does a great job with the scout team every week. He's a quarterback with the scout team. I think he's got a lot of respect within the team. He's extremely intelligent and a really, I mean, good decision maker. He'll know every aspect of the game plan. I know that.
Go Buddy, and then Thomas, and then Andy. Buddy.
Dan, you may be aware, this may not, about the open letter from Auburn saying they demanded or wanted an apology from you about the dirty comment. Were you aware of that?
No, I'm worried about LSU.
Okay, I just didn't know if you know about that letter or not.
No, I'm worried about LSU, to be honest with you.
Speaking of which, a guy had a breakout play. Talk about LaMichael's run and being a guy that Auburn had said was too slow. And here he was going 88 yards, and the symmetry of the last guy to do it was obviously Emmett, and there was Emmett on the sideline.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Kind of an epic moment there, wasn't it?
That was kind of neat. You know, I don't think that LaMichael knew that. I don't think that Emmett knew that either, that was going to be the longest run since his. So, but I'm going to tell you what, it came at a great opportunity for us, at a great time of the game. It couldn't have happened at a better time. But I think P. Ryan's a guy that, you know, again, you look at what he's been able to do so far this year, maybe not put up the numbers that people thought he might put up as the years so far to this point of the year. But certainly hasn't changed his approach, hasn't changed how he's played, hasn't changed his playmaking ability, and really made the biggest play of the game on Saturday. And you know, and he was ready for that moment. And when it creaked out, when he hit the crease, able to break a tackle, make a guy miss, and you know, he was fast enough to get to the end zone.
Can you talk about Kyle's emotional state? He got obviously very upset. He apparently said he thought he'd really, you know,
Was hurt. Well, I'm sure. I mean, it's painful. That hurts, you know. And I think for a guy like him in those situations where, you know, I mean, he's there, he's exposed, you know, and that when you get that happens, you think, you know, I mean, the injury, it ends up being a minor injury, not a major injury, but still, when that happens, it's scary for any player.
Final thing, just want to ask you about the decision to throw the pass to him, McCraw.
Yeah.
You kind of didn't think about anything regarding injuries at all. You sort of.
Well, I mean, he was going to catch it and get down, you know. So, I mean, I wasn't expecting. We weren't going to call it if we thought anybody was going to be covering him, and so it was catch it, get the first down, game over.
Dan, going back to just the speed of getting used to things in games versus practice when it comes to Kyle, the fumbles, how quickly do you expect maybe that you can coach that?
Well, I think it's a part. I think a lot of that comes from experience, you know, and I think if there's one thing you can put that to is, you know, I mean, if one thing you look at is not having played a lot in game situations, you know, and talk about a practice. In practice, you don't hit the quarterback, you stay off the quarterback. And in those situations, just of understanding your pocket ball security, 2 hands on the ball, where you're doing as you feel it, you're pulling a little bit tighter, just pocket ball security. I think that comes with experience of being in those situations and understanding that.
You were talking about how the game plan, meshes with the offense and the defense specialties. You're one of the few coaches who hasn't really succumbed to this is my tempo and we will play at this offensive tempo. Why is that? Is it you've always seemed to have considered your defense when?
Yeah, well, you know, part of it is we want to play great defense in what we do. But also we look at the program as a whole. I mean, the biggest, most important factor to me is making sure we win the game. You know, if we win the game 3-2 or we win the game 49-48, we're winning. And, you know, whatever we need to do to make that happen as a team and as a program, and we get everybody bought into doing that, you have success. And, you know, so I don't get overly caught up in, okay, what do our offensive statistics look like? What do our defensive statistics look like? You know, for show, I'm more into winning and losing. You know, obviously defense, you know, if we're statistically poor in one category, okay, well, why is that? And is that affecting our opportunity to win the game? And how do we fix it? But I'm not in it just to run numbers and try to say, hey, look at all this record we set or that record we set, or we're going to go super up tempo. So we can claim that we have, we put up all these points, or, you're this unbelievable magical offense, or just go pure ball security so that we can keep a low scoring game and just not put up, make sure we don't give up points on defense. We look at our roster, look at our players, look at, for kind of a season usually as you get into it and say, hey, we're going to be this type of team generally, but then each game also dictates, what you're going to do.
What's your kind of assessment of watching Joe Burrow on film?
He's he'd be the best quarterback, obviously, we've seen so far this year. I mean, he can make all the throws. He's got experience. He's been out there on the field. So, I mean, the playing in big games, that's not new for him. He's played in a bunch of big games. And, and he's got great skill players around him. And, you can see his trust in those guys to go make plays out there. And then I think, he's deceptively, he's really athletic. And so he can extend plays and he can make plays happen in the run game. If you're going to give it to him, he'll take it. But It'd be the best quarterback, obviously, we've faced so far this year, and it'd be a great challenge for our defense.
You've obviously faced LSU a lot over the years. Just kind of what's your assessment, your perception of just the philosophical shift they've made on offense here last year?
Well, I think for them is they're looking at the players they have, like anybody, kind of probably like we do. You look at the players you have, you look at your roster, the talent on your roster, and what fits that talent. And they have a veteran quarterback that can really throw it. They have some great skill players in the perimeter, and they have a veteran offensive line. So, in that case, why not spread it out and try to go score some points?
Dan, how much time do you spend with Todd during the week and say, hey, I want you to take a look at what we're doing and how would you defend it, and vice versa for him?
Yeah, I don't, that happens daily in and out. Those are quick things, as, hey, we're looking at doing this. What is your thoughts of how it affects it? And then he and I'll briefly get together every day on just what's going on. But those ideas, as you pass, generally, those are kind of exchanged of, offensive, defensive staff rooms are right next to each other. So, guys kind of stick their head in, what about this or what about that? And, how would you guys handle it if we did this or did that? Just to kind of check with the other side of the ball.
When it's Saturday, it seemed like the first half pretty much did a three-man rush, four-man rush occasionally. Second half, you start bringing the blitzes and everything like that.
Well, I think we were able to put the pressure on them especially once you get the lead. You're able to put pressure on them, and then obviously with the crowd doing a great job, and a younger quarterback to keep mixing up the looks. I think one of the things into that game I thought that was huge is we got the lead early and we never relinquished the lead. And when we talk about the team on stuff is you play Auburn and you get to Auburn, they like to run the ball and they like to be physical and run the ball between the tackles. That's harder to do when you're playing from behind. And, so by taking the early lead and getting the lead and hold the lead all day long, you kind of put pressure on them to get them out of their comfort zone and let us dictate the tempo of the game.
Will, over here to the right. Hey, Dan. Dave Aranda, before the season, spoke a little bit about just changing his philosophy in regards to how he uses his players and maybe not being as, just being a little bit more fluid, I guess, with his play calling as far as defense. Have you seen any glaring differences that way?
You know what? And not glaringly. They still run. They have really good defense personnel. He's got a very sound scheme. And they do a good job of putting their guys. They're going to mix it up now. They don't just sit in one defense. You're going to see 3 down, 4 down. You're going to see, you'll see 3-man rush, 4-man rush, 5-man rush, 6-man rush. You're going to see a good mix up of man and zone coverage, 1 high and 2 high. But I don't know that I've seen a huge philosophical change in what they do, but I think they've always done a really good job of having kind of a complete package where they have different ways that they can attack you, and they do a great job of showing you enough looks to keep you kind of on edge.
A different topic, but on fourth downs, do you think maybe these days your reputation maybe tips your hand a little bit?
What's my reputation?
As far as
do I have a good reputation or a bad reputation?
Huh? I guess how does that sort of factor into?
If it worked, it would have been. Right? I mean, anytime you do that stuff, if it works, you're a genius. If it doesn't, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? So, right? The fake punt against Miami. What did y'all think about that? Everyone, oh my goodness. It was genius.
But when you do it so many times or enough times, does it factor into the calculus in your mind of when to call it at all? Just you think it's coming?
No, a lot of it's situational. It's a lot of us, do we think we have it? It's an aggressive mindset. Whether it's fake punts or going for it on fourth down. I want to make sure we have an aggressive mindset as a team and as a program. And a lot of that stuff is I guess, timing's important, of how all that stuff goes and gets and plays out.
Mark. Not that you care about Vegas perception, but you're two touchdown underdog. You're the largest you've ever been a part of here at Florida in your 6 years. Can you use that? Do you plan to use that? How will you use that?
Do we get those points before the game starts?
Unfortunately, no.
No, then it doesn't really have much use for us. If they gave us those points before the game start, then I would definitely use them. right? If we walked in and it said Florida 14, LSU 0, I would definitely use that. The rest of it's irrelevant.
And DBU, both of these schools claim to be DBU. Can you make a case for Florida being the real DBU?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Go look at the board of all the players that have come here, all the players that have had success here and gone on to the NFL, and it, it's not just over the last 5 to 10 years. It goes back and back and back of great defensive backs that have played here, and we have some pretty good DBs this year, and that are continuing that tradition. We have some good young guys that we expect to continue the tradition in the future. And there's a lot of players out there in America that want to come be part of that here and continue that tradition in the secondary.
You said after the game, guys would have to decide on Monday if they're ready to, push to that next step, which this is going to be.
Yeah.
When do you start getting a feeling for stuff like that? Is it?
We'll see. We practice this afternoon, so they better come
that
out
early?
ready to go. I think it's always one of the great challenges in this league. I've always said it is it's not the one game, it's the multiple games in this league. That's always the challenge. And it's obviously a challenge at I'm not in every league because a lot of times you don't have these type of games in every single league where you're consecutive weeks playing, top 7 opponents. And that's one of the great challenges in this league, and it's one of the fun parts about being. That's why you want to be a part of the SEC, because you get right. We were the biggest game in the country last week, and we're the biggest game in the country this week, and that's what makes you want to play at Florida and be a Gator, so you can play in the biggest games in the country every single week.
So what worked on the Michael Pirine play? I mean, what would you see? Is that
worked.
something you can really build off, you think?
Yeah, we created good spacing. Got them into, we thought was an advantageous front for us to block. What really worked is Brett Hagee fell off the block, but Pirine was able to break that tackle. And at that point, it was one-on-one on the safety. And I think one of the great things, though, by the formation, we got everybody else on the defense out of the plays, one-on-one on the safety. And he did a really good job of squaring the safety up. If he just kind of stays and tries to out-sprint him to the side, to the end zone, the safety can use the sideline. He did a great job of kind of squaring him up and then getting back out to the sideline, to give himself a two-way go. And then when he went to the sideline, he was able to break the arm tackle. And I guess he was fast enough, The Auburn fan says he wasn't fast enough, and I guess he was. So,
what do you know about Joe Brady? Last thing, because who's been working with Burrow this year, the New Orleans Saints?
I don't know him very well.
Real young, he's like 30.
Yeah, I don't really know him very well.
Just how much impact do you see he's had on Burrow? How much difference?
Well, I think a lot. I think you look at them opening the offense up and spreading around and doing a really good job of using their personnel. I think that's a sign, to me, of a good coach. You get to it and say, hey, are we putting our players in an advantageous position to do what they do well? And that's good coaching.
Final questions go to Nick, and then finish up with Cassie in the back. Nick?
Back on the player safety, were you given a reason why you couldn't challenge the targeting call on Damian Pierce? And is that something that Steve Shaw talks when he comes around before the...
Yeah, I thought it was because it's a reviewable play. They can review it. So I thought we could challenge it then if it's a reviewable play, but it's not. We can't challenge it. They could choose to review it, the officials, but we can't challenge it.
Did you find out? There was a turnover, so there was a timeout, so they had time to look at it. Then you called timeout and gave them more time to look at it. So were you given a reason why they decided not to even review it when they have that technology?
I haven't gotten any reasons from the league of all that stuff yet. So they usually get it back to me. That'd be a great question for Steve Shaw.
Wrap it up with Cassie in the back. Sorry, Cassie. No, you're good.
Yell. What does it mean to admire a throw? It really is about being on balance with your throw. And young players, one of the things they want to do is they get into drills, especially get into 7-on-7. They make a throw, and they automatically turn to get the next play. If you're admiring your throw, you're able to finish the throw. You really over-exaggerate being on balance and checking where you're at. And if you admire your throw, you can see if you are on balance, you'll stay on balance on the throw. If you make a throw and you're falling off one way or the other, you weren't on balance on that throw, and that's probably why you were inaccurate in making the throw. So it's really about learning your own balance of how to become more accurate of a passer.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great day.